everyone, and welcome to Mindset Monday. I'm your host, Denise, Zack, and our co-host this week is Elizabeth Hamilton-Guarino. So excited to have you here. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi, thank you so much, Denise. What a fancy, beautiful intro.
Oh,
I love your video.
Thank you. I'm so glad you're here this week. Elizabeth and I have been on, I've been on Elizabeth's podcast in the past. She was on a different podcast of mine, and we just stayed connected. And she is it over 9-time author right now? Is
Something
how many?
like that.
14,
Whatever. Eight, 9.
24, something.
Well, it's nice because they're just, it's a mix of kids' books and then some self-help books. And so it's a good mix. It's not like I'm not, no, not like that.
But it's good stuff. It's really good stuff, and it's meaningful stuff. And that's why I had to have you back this week and join with you on this discussion today, which I'm super excited about. But for those of you who haven't been here before, this podcast is about matters of the mind, because we all know how important mindset is and how much your mindset does matter in terms of your success and how you move forward in life. And what we hope to do is a quick 15, 20-minute snippet of powerful strategies, ideas, and maybe some words that can give you some information, inspire you, but whatever. We want you to walk away feeling like it's one more thing that can help you live your best life and move forward from there. So Elizabeth she's founder of the Best Ever You Network, which is an amazing website, and her latest book, which is coming out March 8th. Is that when it's coming out?
Yep.
March 8th. Yeah, it's awesome, and it's already hit the bestseller list, so it's just fabulous. And her website is here, so you can go check that out. But we're going to be talking about change today, and both of our books that we've written are really steeped in taking a look inward and figuring out what is holding you back, and then giving you specific strategies for moving forward. And that's what we're going to dive into today. So let me just start by asking you, you've written so many books, right? And really just done a lot of work in self-help and educating people about different topics. What led you to this book, the Change Guidebook?
Oh, geez. Yeah. Actually, I think it's a continuation of my first book, Percolate, which is a Hay House book. It's called Percolate, Let Your Best Self Filter Through. And that book really is about my dad. I write a lot about my dad in that book. And he was a stroke survivor from 2004 to 2018. And they called him the ICU warrior and all these amazing things. He was in a speech therapy session, and most people say nothing, and he said aardvark, benevolence, courage, determination, excellence. F was a swear word that we've changed to faith, and all these amazing things. And up to that point, back in 2004, I'd felt pretty sorry for myself because I had developed life-threatening food allergies. And so it just, it's kind of all woven in. But when he passed away in 2018, it just an empty spot. It's like, oh, your champion, your complimenter. I'm not going to cry right now. I feel like I am, but I'm not going to. I'm going to really try hard not to do that right off the bat. But I was like, what do I do next? And I was grieving so badly. I felt like even closing Best Ever You, I felt like never writing again. I felt, just a multitude of emotions and feelings. And I don't think he would have liked that. And that's kind of where I went with it. I was like, I don't think that's what he would want me to do at all. And my mom certainly didn't. And it was really interesting too, because on Valentine's Day, it would have been my parents' 47th anniversary. And one of the things that I noticed really happens when you're married that long and your partner passes away, it's very difficult to keep the other person wanting to be here. I just noticed right off the bat, it was like, oh my, this is a mission in keeping mom okay. It really, truly. So I left Maine and went back to Minnesota and stayed there. And then my mom had her own life-saving surgery. But we were in a parking lot, and it was prior to her surgery. And we were talking about what I was going to do next and what she was going to do. And just all this cool conversation that you never really get to have with your parents unless you make a point. And we were talking about what to do next, and up came, well, you better put that in your next book. And I did. There's a long story for that question. I mean, mom and dad so much that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you bring up a good point is that out of our most difficult challenges come some really beautiful things.
Yeah.
And I think that when we're out of our comfort zone, when we're not in our safe space, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel good. And there's usually something that comes from it, either because somebody pushes us or because we have some insight or some awareness. And it's so important in those moments to really embrace whatever positive we can in those difficult circumstances to be able to continue to move forward.
Well, yeah, when a moment presents itself, every single moment actually, because you're not titled to time, it passes quickly and you don't get your moments back. But in each moment, present, moving forward, and everything, you have a moment, you have a decision to make, and it's how are you
Yeah.
going to spend that moment? What's your attitude going to be? What are you going to do? Are you how are you going to point your energy? Where's your heart going to go? What's your truth? What's everything in that moment? That's a lot to think about moment to moment.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think some of the things that our books do, with your ripple affect and
Yeah.
my Age guidebook and percolate and so forth, even the kids books, they teach us how to train our brains sort of to think differently. So it's almost autopilot positivity,
Yeah.
and using some tools and so forth to make your moments matter if you can.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
yeah, I hope that makes sense.
Absolutely. No, it absolutely does. Absolutely. And I think that the hard thing is that we get so trained in the chaos of our lives to just kind of be on that hamster wheel and not think and
Yeah.
not take a step back. And that makes us feel as if we don't have time. I'll start tomorrow. I'll start the next day. And we can just end up walking in circles and kind of wasting our energy and our time. And I think what you and I are trying to help people understand is that you have to start your day, and it doesn't have to be something huge.
No.
You just have to make meaning out of even sometimes the most mundane things. Get that stuff right. Like even the small things, just get those things right. And that will help to change the trajectory of where you're going in life, which gives you momentum in the right direction. And then those bigger things can
Yeah.
come.
Well, there's nothing more confusing than a New Year's resolution, and then sometimes people make like 10 of them at once. New Year's, and right about now is when people go, "Oh, New Year's, I was gonna
Yeah.
do this, I'm gonna do that, I shoulda, coulda, woulda," and all these things. And I love to catch people right about now with a conversation like that says, "Okay, we're going to just hit the pause button and maybe even a reset button. And we're going to show you how to do this right. Because don't give up on that goal. Let's go for it. Let's actually do that. And you're going to give yourself a giant hug. Go right here. You're going to be all right. And
Yeah.
yeah, okay, you can lose those 50 pounds, or you can change that career. You can change that job or location or whatever it is,
Yeah.
um, or deal with an unforeseen circumstance even.
Yeah.
That one of the things that my book does, and I know yours does as well, is that it helps you learn how to navigate. It's like
Mm.
another tool in your best life toolbox to help you navigate. And most often we're navigating some type of change because
Yeah.
change is all around us all the time. And you're like, I didn't want that to change. And it did. I know I have moments where I'm like, oh, this is so nice. I look around, I'm like, I don't want anything to change. And
Yeah.
yet it does.
Yeah, absolutely. Whether you want it to or not, and I think that's where the power of thought comes in. And I know that we've had this conversation before, just talking about the actual words that we choose to talk to ourselves, because we can so often be negative, be judgmental of ourselves, comparing ourselves to other, thinking, you know, we need to do A, B, and C immediately, and if not, we're a failure, and defining success by really terms that don't even fit who we are as a person. And so that internal dialogue can become so negative and so inauthentic to who we are as people. And the one thing I try to talk to people about, and I know that you've talked about this as well, is choose your words wisely. Even if we want to lose that 30 pounds, I don't want to wake up in the morning and say to myself, I have to lose 30 pounds. Today's the day I start losing 30 pounds. Then it's like, I have to lose, I have to stop eating junk. I have all those things that go along with it. I want to wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to live my best life. I'm taking the best care of my body I can. I am exercising on a regular basis. I want to say those positive things to myself and put my sneakers at the end of the bed so that I'm reminding myself that today is the day that I do those awesome things as opposed to having to stop doing something, right? So what do you think about positive thoughts and internal dialogue and
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I'm gonna twist that around a little bit
Yeah.
because I do think people do beat up on themselves. And so we're gonna take one hand here, and do that hug again, and we're gonna say, "I love myself.
Yeah.
I'm at a root in my self-love, my self-worth, my self-care, my own well-being." Those self words, which sound selfish, which they're not, because we need to take care of ourselves. But if you are a person who's, I think we're all guilty at one point or another of saying, oh, my 11s, oh, my 52-year-old, whatever it is, I'm starting to do that here and there. You're like, oh, I'm 52, kind of thing. I don't know if I should be on camera, and it's like, you know what? Here's the thing, be authentically you. I think that's what people really love is it doesn't, I think people fail to recognize sometimes that it, this doesn't matter, and that we're caught up in Instagram and filters and all this stuff. I love to talk about this topic because, as women, it's out there, and it's so nice to just be authentically you and just embrace who you are. And because time ticks, and I was just thinking the other day, I saw some pictures of myself from 10 years ago, and I remember at when those pictures were taken, I went, those are never going to see the light of day, kind of thing. And then I'm like, those weren't that bad, kind of thing. And we
Perspective,
do,
right?
yeah, there's perspective.
Yeah.
But the other thing too is if you are one of those people who's got the brakes on with change, you're like, oh, I need to. I'm going to just use weight as an example. I do that a lot. I help people lose weight, so it's kind of my thing. But if you are one of those people who's like, oh, I've got 50 pounds to lose, and you're like, oh, I have so much. What do I have to give up to do that? You rattle down the list of everything you think you have to give up to gain. And what I like to do instead is add rather than subtract. When I'm working with people, I love to add.
Mm.
So, and they'll be like, "Oh, I'm scared. What do I have to do?" And I'm like, "We're not going to do anything. We're going to just add a whole bunch of water.
Mm.
I'm not going to change a thing. Actually, don't be afraid of me for about a month."
Yeah. Yeah.
You're just like,
Yeah.
yeah, but I'm going to add water. Okay, we're going to hold that change. We're going to do consistency, discipline, determination, motivation, things like that. What motivates you really? What inspires you? And we're
Mm.
going to just add, so your frame of mind gets into the game.
Mm. And I think the cool thing about that is that you're not doing a 180.
Oh,
You're doing 1 degree at a time.
yeah.
You
Well,
know, and
see, I'm thinking of like I've done this. I mean, I've done this. New Year's, here it goes. I'm going to lose 30 pounds by March 15th or whatever. I've got my outfit. I've got my hair tie. I've got my new shoes. I've got my new thing. And I wrote about this in Percolate. I leave out the door thinking I'm like a marathon runner. And about halfway down the street, I'm like, God, I don't know if I saw that. I'm out of breath. I'm walking. That kind of thing.
right,
And
right.
it's just reality. So if you think you're going to hit the ground, Mach speed,
Yeah.
sometimes we forget. Even I'm an ex-athlete, a former gymnast, kind of thing. I know that mindset stuff, but I'm not every day at the gym doing gymnastics for 8 hours. So
Mm.
my mind is doing this, and halfway down the block, I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
you bring up a good point of all the shoulds and the have tos and the things we think we need to do in order to be successful, as opposed to things that we can actually do and can be doing that are not as huge or, at the top of a mountain. But you can start a habit by doing something for 5 minutes a day and then let it build from there. Just like you said, drink that water or go halfway down the street and come back, but do it every day. And then when you build up your habit around it and you build up your energy and you're building your confidence around it and your motivation, you're like, oh, I can do this. Oh, now this is easier, right? Then it becomes more natural. It becomes more a part of who you are as a person, as opposed to you having to change so much.
At once. And then, let's say 30 days have passed and you've been just awesome at drinking, half your weight in ounces for water. And, you've really added the water in 30 days, you've held that change. Well, in can come change too, then. We're going to add like maybe a cup of vegetables to your diet or what, and again, I'm just using this as an example, whatever it
Yeah.
is. Journal writing. Some people love people want to write books and they're like, oh, what do
Yeah.
I have to do to write a book? I'm like, right?
Yeah, right.
Probably every day, kind of
Yeah.
thing. And they're like, oh, well, you're not going to sit down and write the whole book in one day.
Mm,
Maybe you are, I guess. I suppose it's possible, but that's
yeah.
not my process. So anyway, change two can come into play. And you hold that change for another 30 days while holding the water change. And by the end of 60 days, you have two changes.
Right.
And what starts to happen, as we both talk about, whether it's Percolate or your book, ripple affect, um, affect, it has a ripple effect. The
Yes.
changes, you think you're
That
going to
domino.
work in one area, and it is, ooh, okay, now my work life's better, my home life's better, my hair looks, whatever it is. Uh,
Yeah.
there's things that happen that you don't really expect. And then what I do is around the 90-day mark, then I might take something away from you.
Hmm.
But I tend to give something while I take something away as well. But then I'll be like, okay, so let's do, let's uh, take away soda or something like that. Sometimes right off the bat, I'll take soda away from people that I will do that. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
Caffeine,
Yeah.
sometimes there's a little bit of a takeaway, but yeah.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I do water, add a cup of vegetables, and then start moving. Um, and sometimes people do those on their own at their
Yeah.
30, 60, 90. Yeah.
Right. It just kind of happens, right? You know what I like? One of the, even when I was a therapist, was one of those things. If someone has a negative coping mechanism, right? If they're drinking soda because they, think it's better than eating something, or, if they do something that we know isn't good for them,
Yeah.
I never just, and the mentality of what you're talking about is so accurate. You don't just want to take it away because it's there for a reason. And it's taking up time in their day. And if you're not replacing it with something else and giving them a plan and a strategy for the replacement, then they're going to fall right back into it. So if you're not drinking the soda, like you said, then what do you go to? What does that go to? Oh, I know I'm not going to get the water, right? And or whatever it is, so that they feel like I have something else to use at my disposal that will help me to move in the right direction.
Sometimes there's some healing to do there for sure. We're doing things for a reason or whatever, but that it's like I said, it's tricky to make change. And what I've tried to do in the change guidebook is outline a process with the 10 points of change that we as people go through to make changes like this, from mindset to impacting other people. There are what I find 10 steps, and thank you for putting that up, because here's the thing. Denise is a contributor to the book. there are 20 contributors to the book, plus some stories in there from other people. But Denise, so here we don't write books alone, as Denise knows, because I lean on her a few times, more than a few times, to be like, hey, it was what I'm writing, okay, kind of thing. Look at this and check
Yeah.
me here. And then she so graciously offered a story for the book as well. And it's a beautiful book that helps you navigate change. Another tool for the toolbox, a book to hug like yours. Keep it
Yeah.
around. I see yours is in the back there. Yep, there you go. Yeah, I don't have mine yet. You carried around. I saw Chris Fuller the other day hugging your book on her Instagram.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
really
I
cute.
got to get her on here too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You definitely do. So where was I? But 20 contributors to the book.
Yeah.
If you go to besteveryou.com/change guidebook, there's a free gift right there. And it's a juicy free gift too. I love free gifts when they're like, oh, that's a cool free gift. So it's like a
Yeah.
12-page download, and it's an assessment of kind of each area of your life. And you can add to it if you need to or whatever. And it
Awesome.
goes kind of hand in hand with what we're talking about, making
Mm.
change. Where do you see yourself needing to make change? It's kind of like one of those thinking tools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm gonna add to that. Um, because we need to have that vision. And I love the fact that you have that download for people to be able to create that vision, that image, right? And that's in chapter 6 of my book. I actually have a free meditation on my website. So if you go to my website and click on the meditations, there's an ideal image meditation that's free. You do it. You don't have to even buy the book, nothing. You just listen to that ideal image, and it talks about all aspects of your life. Then go download that
That's, yeah.
and then I feel like that would be a really cool tool for anyone who wants to kind of create that ideal image and then be able to think about what are those next steps and how do I need to actually create that in my life.
Yeah, and the tool that's on there, it's actually sort of a revise and add to from some of the things that I was going through in 2004, and I used with my mom when my dad had his stroke. We were like, okay, this area of your life, and this area of your life, and this area of your life, and I've used it in my own life. I use it every year on my birthday, and I go through and I kind of take a look at all the different areas and set some goals, or all that good stuff.
I love it.
It's a good
Well,
one.
I wanted to honor time here. I told people to be 15 to 20 minutes. We're coming up on the 21-minute mark. I feel like we had a really nice discussion, and it was so nice to connect with you again. And I hopefully people feel like they were able to walk away with some ideas about how they can create change and implement some healthy habits into their life. You can contact Elizabeth at LinkedIn. You can also contact me at LinkedIn as well. And please subscribe if you like this and you want to hear more. Please subscribe to the Ripple Effect Life Coaching channel. I look forward to seeing you all next time. Elizabeth, thank you again for your amazing expertise, for your willingness to be vulnerable and really speak from the heart. I know that means a lot to people and makes a big change. So thank you so much, and have a good day, everybody. We'll see you next time.